This is the pilot episode of the Thought and Grit podcast on TNG Media. Oh yeah.
Last night a DJ saved my life. Last night a DJ saved my life. Yeah. 'Cause I was sitting there bored to death. And in just one breath he said, you gotta get up, you gotta get off, you gotta get down.
That's Last Night a DJ Saved My Life by In Deep. Probably one of the best songs on in Vice City, GTA Vice City.
I wouldn't really know. Never really played the game. I started my GTA career in San Andreas, so
San Andreas had a better soundtrack without a doubt, but Vice City had some of those 80s disco tracks that
it's up to personal taste at that point.
Yeah.
Are you into hip hop? Are you into disco?
I think Radio Los Santos was the hip hop channel on in San Andreas.
Mm-hmm.
What was the channel I like? I think it was KDST or K Rock. I think
Something
KDST.
like
KDST had Mother.
You went a lot deeper than I did, so
Yeah, we won't call it exactly what that is. Anyway, this is the pilot episode, first episode, practice / hopefully we get it good. I'm Chris Lockhart, sitting with my co-host James Jette. James Jette, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
So we'll introduce the format of the show a bit. Weekly, we're going to be doing a This Week in the News to top of the hour, top the podcast off. We'll have a few stories, like the biggest stories going on in politics or whatever's going on, if there is anything other than politics, I'd say.
There usually is.
Yeah. Mostly politics, mostly like any philosophical type deal, or just raw news. We got a few today. This week in the news, what do we got? Top of it, I would say the most important one is Trump's travel ban.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing that's hit the news.
You know the details of it? It's pretty big. I don't know if you heard about this, but yeah. So I walked downstairs the other day and I seen on CNN that it was partial victory for Trump, and I was like, okay, what's a partial victory for the travel ban? Essentially, it was passed. The Supreme Court ruled that the courts that threw
the same 6 countries.
Was it 6 countries or was it more?
I thought it was 6, maybe 7.
Well, basically, yeah. If it's 6, essentially the details are it's allowed, it's passed, except for prior visa holders or anyone with a bona fide relationship to the United States.
So if they have a previous citizenship or green card or
and I think bona fide, that might even include any like business relation or family, anything like that. But I know for a fact that it's not only current visa holders, but prior visa holders. So one of the biggest problems with the first ban was that anyone with a visa was still fucked.
Yeah,
like they were stuck
that caused
out.
a lot of problems with people who were just traveling.
I don't know if that was intended so much as like just a complete fuck up, like a mistake from the administration, because that's just silly, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
But I dig this new one. I dug the second one. I told you that.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a shitstorm, but essentially, too, it's not like a huge victory. It's I think it's 90 days. So if it passes, it goes through 90 days. But it's essentially, it means that it can be heard at a lower court level. So he took that to the Supreme Court, but it will be heard again to see whether or not it's constitutional, which it is, right?
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things that people don't realize is that if you're not a U.S. citizen, you don't have constitutional rights. Like you are afforded some humanitarian rights, but you're not afforded constitutional rights. So you don't get freedom of speech if you're not from the States. You don't have a right to be there.
Well, yeah. You're there illegally.
Yeah. Legally or illegally, but if you're not a citizen, you can get a visa, but if you're not a citizen, you don't have constitutional rights.
Is that how that works?
Well, I know if you're there, like there's a certain portion of like rules, like you have to be treated and you have to be given like certain rights, but you don't have all of them. I know for a fact, like you don't have a right to bear arms, you don't have a right for this, or don't have a right for that.
Mm-hmm.
When you get full citizenship,
that's when you're allowed to granted the full access.
Yeah. Now, there's what are the counter arguments to this? It's unconstitutional. I mean, the one I hear with someone, where if you debate it and you get into it being unconstitutional, and they say, okay, well, maybe it's not unconstitutional, but it goes against America, like the idea of America. So the idea of America is like a melting pot of different cultures, and this and that. Why would that be a different story in this case?
We're talking about the travel ban, or we're talking about not having constitutional rights unless you're a citizen?
The travel ban. Like, why is it, even if it's not unconstitutional, because they don't have the same constitutional rights as citizens, why is it not like counter to like America's vision, right? Like, why is it different in this case? I mean,
well,
you had Italians, you had Irish, you had Africans, like the founding of America, right? Why is this different?
Well, I think the biggest issue is a lot of people come over and aren't willing to assimilate. I think it's just a known, not a known thing, but it seems to be that most Muslim countries, immigrants from Muslim countries, don't want to assimilate to the full extent. They want to take things that don't apply to our values here.
Okay. That's what I was going to add. I mean, of course, it's a matter of assimilation, but I don't think, like, there's a lot of people that might, like, think like assimilation's stupid. Like, anyone has a right to their own culture. Everyone brings their own like culture to the culture of America, but
of course,
it's when that the cultural values don't mesh.
Yeah.
So, do you believe in like freedom of certain? And I don't mean like socialism versus capitalism. I mean, do you believe in fundamental freedoms of women, gay people, things like that? I mean, if you don't, that's a different deal.
Well, exactly. Well, that's what America was founded on, right? Yeah. There's principles you have to abide by if you come to the States.
Right. So you could speak knowing. I mean, if you don't speak no English, there's going to be a problem. But if you spoke, say, for only Italian, you like Italian culture, you like Italian music, you'll be all right if if you're in cahoots with the idea of freedom.
But I think Europe has just more. They have the Western values we hold as well,
Yeah.
Like the further east you get, the more it becomes a problem. Well, not a problem. It just our values just clash. We just don't hold the same standard of freedom. Like, freedom doesn't mean the same thing everywhere you go.
Even just like democratic ideals, like the Norwegian countries that, like, everyone, Bernie Sanders are in love with because they're hyper socialist, even though there's a lot of like, bullshit there, where it's like Denmark when Bernie during the election looked I think it was Denmark, right? Looked at Denmark as like an ideal social, like, look at socialist policies like in Denmark. The leadership of Denmark actually snapped back and like, don't refer to us as socialists. But the thing is, they have some like heavy social programs, but they still have super privatized industry. So it's like they looked at it as an insult, and I mean, I still think he's right, but yeah. So they can have fundamental freedom differences economically or whatever, obvious huge differences from the States to them, but there's still something there that works. A Swede can live in the States because they have the idea of democratic freedom,
Yeah, I don't think the values goes as far as economic decisions and how to run a country.
That's like, I mean, you can make the argument that it is, but you can get by. It only becomes dangerous when it's like, when you're trying to take away the rights of other people, right?
But you can't bring your economic values with you. That's the difference. Yeah. If you're joining a capitalist society, you're going to have to just abide by capitalist rules. Like,
and you're going to like it too because you're going to make money.
Well, I mean, if you're competitive and you have the edge, if you're willing to work hard, you make money.
Yeah, I was talking to this guy from work who's like, I don't know if he studied abroad, but he studies like a bunch of different cultures. And I asked him, like, I mean, is that on your dime? And he's like, no, I get paid. I get pay or subsidies or whatever, this and that. Parents help, this and that. I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. But he was telling me how, like, I don't know if it was Sweden or Denmark, wherever he spent time or he like researched into, that the idea of like individualism or like individual prosperity is like foreign to them. Like, to them, it's a collective thing. Like, I don't know if he's talking just socially, but I mean, that's for me, that's fucking weird. I hate that.
I have a problem with that. I find that the more you look at socialist countries, the less they're willing to actually put effort into it.
Right.
They have like 32-hour weeks, and they don't even want to do the 32-hour weeks. They protest for less.
Right.
because once you're treated the same as everyone else economically, you get given the same amount of money and stuff. You don't have that incentive to work harder for your own personal benefit. Now you have to think about. You just have to be this inherently good person that like everyone believes bullshit, people can be, but everyone's selfish in their own right. You do things for your own personal advance.
Yeah, that's off on a whole different deal. That's essentially just free market ideals versus collectivism. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, a lot of people bring up the arguments like, how likely are you to be attacked by terrorists? Obviously, incredibly small.
Yeah, of course.
But I think Europe as a continent proves every leftist argument wrong over the past 20 years. Like now, what's going on in Greece, what's going on in Sweden, France, EU, or EU in general, but
I mean,
UK.
As far as open borders, sure. Yeah. I mean, people do have to be vetted. That's just a fact. You can't just open borders and just let people walk freely. There's a reason.
Forget open borders. I mean, just mass out, like allow taking in of immigrants, right? Like of war-torn countries, like clashing.
But it's not even that. Do you have the resources to support that kind of like influx of population? Like, can you hold all these people like comfortably? You know.
Well, most countries in the EU can't, but I'm sure. I think I've talked to you about how the EU set up, where you receive money for taking refugees into your country, housing refugees. You receive money. Mm-hmm. So a place like Germany, which is essentially the top dick of the EU, can afford to do it. I mean, they don't give a fuck, but their citizens, most of them don't like it. I mean, they're given houses, this and that, but they receive money in a system where Merkel, the leader of Germany, has the most power, which is the EU. She receives money from taking refugees into a system that she has the most power in. So I don't know how people can not see that as corrupt.
I don't remember.
God bless the UK for fucking voting to leave.
I don't remember exactly which city within Germany it is, but apparently now there's more of a refugee population than the national like German population in a major city.
In a major city.
Yeah, in a major city.
Yeah.
I can't tell you straight off the top of my head, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it can't be so sudden. It has to be a gradual change. Like,
so mass immigration without integration is bad.
Exactly.
But immigration from even countries like that, where they might have clashing values, with given generational integration, it's not a problem, right? We see that here in Canada.
Of course.
You have people that flee these countries, but if they're not coming in mass, then they have time to whatever.
But most people who emigrate are looking for that type of value system. They're leaving for a reason.
Legally immigrate, you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So refugee could be a different story.
Well, I mean, it's a forced leave. Like, if we were forced to leave Canada and move to Saudi Arabia,
we're not exactly not on the ready to change the Saudi
exactly.
Arabian values.
I'm not willing to change to their values that fast.
Yeah.
Maybe my kids will or my grandkids, but the sudden change in everything you've grown up or believed in is it's too drastic.
Yeah.
You either want to do it or you don't, and if you're just forced into it, it just doesn't work that well.
It's different. I don't think we have any evidence of it, but I would argue maybe a bit in Canada, but I would argue that even if it's proper immigration, if it's massive, like en masse, that there could also be problems. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near if it's a refugee type deal, but I think there still will be problems. Like to tie it back to Trump's travel ban, right? So we don't want to be taking people from like war-torn countries that have massively different values until we can figure out, that's what Trump said, right? Not like temporary ban, until we can figure out how to vet and take the people who we know are, like you said, interested in
values are important, but it's also are you important to the society? What will you provide?
Sure. Well, I mean, sometimes you can't get the best kind of people from every single
of course not, but that's what we attempt to do, even in Canada.
Well,
like, I know people have emigrated here. They take the best they can.
Yeah.
Like, you usually don't come here with no high school education. Usually you get taken in with like a master's or a whatever.
Well, Trudeau is apparently the most pro-Islam world leader that's not from the Middle East lately. We've seen that. But then he'll take refugees, but not single men. I mean, I don't know if he's made a statement about that, but he'll take families. He'll take people with children. He'll take gay men, I believe was the thing. I'm sure gay women too, if that is even prominent over there. But he'll take those people, but he'll avoid taking single men who aren't extremely vetted. So I feel like that's just contrary to, like, if your idea is that the terrorism is so low, it's so whatever, why are you not taking single men? And a feminist would, or like an egalitarian would say something about that. A feminist probably wouldn't because they don't give a shit. But, you know, someone might say, oh, why are you not taking men? I know why, because men are more dangerous than women, period. Of course,
yeah.
But why are these people potentially more dangerous? You know, because they have fundamentally different values. So Canada sometimes will talk a big game, but I mean, I give him props.
I actually didn't hear about that, but yeah. I mean, he does a good job hiding it, I guess.
Well, unless he's
because
showing
it kind
the
of
socks
goes.
on the,
well, I mean,
the parade. Talk about the socks.
Talk about the socks. So Justin attended the Pride Parade.
The Gay Pride Parade in Toronto.
Toronto, yeah. And he wore gay pride socks, so with the rainbow flag.
Yeah.
And then with an Islamic message.
I think it has Islamic symbols or something like that.
Well, it has the
I don't know what the
star and moon.
Right.
And, well, I mean, some Arabic writing. I couldn't read it, but...
Was it in Arabic?
It was. Yeah. Well, you see him posing with the Muslim, the halal socks.
And this is just fucking silly.
It's hypocritical.
So when you get to the point where you can pretend that there's even an equivalency, that, like, obviously, like, we can have the conversation about moderate Muslims versus extremists. There's a lot of moderate Muslims, but to put here we go to put a fucking on. See, I don't know if that's gay pride. I guess it was at the Pride Parade. So yeah, I guess that's rainbow.
Because he wore those socks. I don't know what he was doing, but he wore the socks without the Islamic stuff on it to begin with.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think it was at a Pride Parade. I think.
How does that make any fucking sense? Where in the world in a Muslim country are you not fucked for being gay? I mean, maybe not killed, but where are you not shunned to shit?
Well, it
makes no fucking sense.
I don't know. We can make the same argument that Christians have gotten to the point where they kind of accept gay people. So you can't make the huge generalization, but. Right. You can't pretend that they've made that step because they haven't. No,
they're not reformed like Christianity has in the West.
Well, because Christianity has been criticized so badly. I mean, you could just take TV, for example, like things like Family Guy. Every episode, Jesus is drinking booze, driving cars, and fucking whores. You know, like.
Yeah. But I think did they have an episode of Muhammad that they had to take down?
Yeah,
they had to take it down. That's fucking silly.
Who got away with it? South Park.
Well, if it was someone, it had to be South Park.
Mm-hmm. Well, because South Park gives no fucks.
How do you have to take that out? I mean, they're on Fox, right?
Yeah. Well, they're on more than just Fox.
Okay.
But
No, that's stupid. Trudeau's socks are fucking stupid. Take them off.
I mean, just wear normal socks. He's always wearing something stupid.
Gay pride, sure. Gay people deserve rights.
On May 4th,
they deserve to be married because the government has no business telling people who they can fucking marry. Period.
Exactly.
But
other than animals.
But to pretend that the majority of the Muslim world would not fucking behead a gay person is stupid, in my opinion. It's silly. You're trying. I mean, you could also make the argument that he's trying to bridge the gap. He's trying to reform Islam, but I don't think the pussy route is the way to go. I think you need to be critical of what's bad.
Who is he to reform Islam? He's not even a Muslim.
True. It's also seen as condescending, right? Like they don't view that as
you know more than them or something, right? Or you know what's right for them. It's like you said, it's condescending, and I don't know. The whole sock thing, I think, is just kind of childish.
Well, he's making a statement. There's a
like
lot of pretty girls that like his pretty hair.
R2D2 socks and C3PO socks on May the 4th. So
those are badass. I can fuck with that.
I mean, but you're still our PM. You know? Like,
dude, if he's got R2D2 socks, that's a PM I want. You know, we're talking. This is the thing I want to talk about too. Everyone talks about. I've heard this 100 times from people I know, friends, my mom, that Trump's not presidential. All right, let me get this straight. People decide what's presidential because when you're a president, that's what's presidential. So if people en masse decide Trump should be president after saying he grabs women by the pussy, and he said that they let them grab them by the pussy because he's that rich. So get that sexual assault shit out of here. I'm not saying he doesn't. He probably does, realistically. But I
Well,
don't give a
who
shit
knows
because
for
my
sure?
wallet doesn't have a vagina, and he cannot touch my wallet's vagina because it doesn't have one. So I don't care. It's honestly,
No,
if
I know.
you have a devil and a douche, I'll take the douche who has the right idea. Any day of the week.
for sure. No, I just think there's a certain way to carry yourself as a president. You're seen as a role model. You don't want to. You don't want to look childish. Like sometimes he just goes too far with the tweets, like with personal attacks.
This is where I'm a pro-Trump and you're a Trump's. You know,
I like Trump a lot. I mean, I just ordered my Trump shirt. So
yeah, okay. Oh, that's true. But you criticize some things I don't. Like, I mean, the biggest thing was, I think it was today. Did you see the meme he posted?
Yeah, but that's in good heart. That's just good spirit.
I don't know, man. Apparently, it's an attack on freedom of speech. He shouldn't be attacking CNN.
Freedom of speech.
Boys, if someone's criticizing the media, that doesn't mean it's illegal. He's making it illegal for them to speak. That would be attacking freedom of speech or doing anything to stop them from speaking. But putting a WWE SmackDown gif with him beating someone up, which is actually him. He did WWE.
Yeah.
And he was smacking down a person, and they put CNN the logo over someone's face.
No, I like that.
That's fucking hilarious. My mom was like, she wanted to kill herself when she seen that.
I
She's
think
"What is this?
throwing
Obama."
2 cents at like Rosie O'Donnell and stuff. It's not necessary if you're a president.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I think being diplomatic, being a well-spoken person is a value. It's not. I don't think it's because I think Trump is obnoxious. I don't think that's a value, but I think it's necessary in a world of complete perpetual bullshit. Because it flings the bullshit in their faces instead. You know what I mean?
It
breaks
the
it up.
polar opposite of everything PC.
So ideally,
People just respond to that.
yeah, ideally you would have someone like Trump who would win, who isn't like that because he doesn't spend his time talking shit to MSNBC hosts and calling them, calling out their facelifts and stuff. But I don't hate seeing someone swing back at someone shooting shots at them.
No, of course not.
I like that.
There's a time to
This is it. This is the GIF. that riff at the end.
I think it's all in good fun.
Yeah. So, Fraud News Network. Look at this. Go to the end. Skip to the end. This is Donald Trump's official Twitter. That's a fan-made logo that says the Fraud News Network. See, this is the level of shitposting we need in our lives.
Yeah, of course. No, this is stuff
Personal
that makes
attacks
Trump,
on women, this and that, whatever. I can agree that's
No, it's just
petty.
throwing
This
your-
is badass. This is what we need.
Yeah, of course. Well, because this stands for so much more.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And again, people say, look at presidents. That's not presidential. But this guy's elected. So the people said this is
Presidential. Come on.
is
Obama was
what
on
we want.
fucking Jimmy Kimmel reading mean tweets and shit.
Yeah.
Talking about drone
Drop
strikes to
the mic.
fucking Justin Bieber and shit.
Oh, you
Like,
see what he said about Trump? He's like
while he was president or just
during the election, he's like, Trump tweeted him. That was the mean tweet saying that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That you'll be the worst president, known as the worst president. He's like, well, Donald Trump, at least I'll be known
As a president.
Drops the mic,
Yeah.
and then he lost.
Yeah.
And now he feels bad, and it feels good.
Oh, yeah. It feels great.
Yeah.
The best thing about Trump is just his patriotism.
Yeah.
It just makes me want to like him.
People are like, he's corrupt. I'm like, well, yeah, he's probably corrupt. I think anybody with money is, by the definition of corrupt, but it's not blanket corrupt. He's not the establishment, state, Hillary, Obama, corporate, Saudi, CNN,
People are just
Soros,
paid.
bullshit.
Do you think they even believe half the shit that comes out their mouth? They're smarter than that. They're not dumb
I mean,
people.
this election proves that they don't. Even people that voted Hillary, they had their heads down in the sand. I think there were 2 camps of people who voted Hillary, or 3 camps. People that wanted Bernie, but they felt that Trump was too bad, so they had to vote Hillary. People that seen that it had boobies, so they wanted that. There's a lot of people like that. My mom.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people like that because it's the same. Why was
the
there a
appeal.
record turnout for Obama?
Black.
Because he's black.
Next is a transgender.
I mean, he's a
I'm
great
calling
guy.
it.
I don't know about that. I think that's. Well, I think if people cared that much, a woman probably would have got in before a transgender person.
Oh,
Like,
right. They have
just-
to bring back another woman, so it'll be
Yeah.
like Elizabeth Warren or something.
Yeah, or maybe like a transgender woman or something. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, the problem with the Democratic Party right now is they have no real candidates to put back up. They're all like 80 years old.
I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be a young buck. I hope it's not anyone from Hillary's camp, because they're just not going to win again. People aren't going to vote for them. People remembered the Bernie Sanders rigging of the election. They remember it.
As much as I don't like Democrats and I think they're scumbags, I think they're not that dumb.
Well, now they know.
I think they thought we were dumber than we are, trying to pull all these
well,
fake
hey,
investigations.
You get Beyonce and a Jay-Z on the stage at the same time. How do you not win instantly?
Jay-Z.
How do you not win instantly?
That's that Canadian coming out.
How do you not win instantly? That's all I got to say. But to summarize Trump, so people who might listen to this who don't understand how someone could vote for Trump, someone so crazy, this and that, it's someone who has right-wing economic views, which is the bread and butter of the right wing, because we don't care that much about bullshit. It's what's going on. How is the country being ran economically? It's someone who's bringing that to the table, deregulating the mob that is the FDA and the EPA. And that doesn't mean you don't like health or the environment. You don't like government-based organizations acting like the mob, because power corrupts people, and it's proven to do that. Mm-hmm. The FDA and the EPA slap down new laws to when they get a lobbyist hits them up and they want a certain type of product boosted up, the FDA will shift and change and shit like that, and it's shit. It's gross. But in a free market system, so like you have someone with those ideals, and then you have someone that is shitting on the dishonesty with memes like that we've seen before. That's what we want. So if Trump didn't have a wig, that'd be better. If Trump wasn't orange, that'd be better.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still like this, right? So
yeah, I think the biggest thing was they didn't take into account how much they shun the flyover states.
Yeah,
these people just don't have the same. They don't even think the same as you. They don't take gender studies classes. They don't. Well, they don't even understand what you're talking about.
There's such a thing as overeducated, in my opinion.
I think you're
brainwashed, right? If you're overeducated, you're brainwashed. If you're so out of touch with reality that you don't understand how basic people live, like basic families live.
Exactly.
Because you have a fucking sock hat, mahogany frames, skinny jeans, a Thrasher t-shirt, Vans, and a little too tight on your foot. Like you're that type of guy. You don't understand how the world works. And I was that guy. I was raised, born in 95, so I was raised in the Fox News is complete bullshit.
You see it everywhere. It's like
pro stopping global warming, pro all that, leftist, right? But then I feel like when you realize half the shit they're telling you is bullshit, you become more radically right.
Oh yeah, it turns you
than you would otherwise.
Right into a 180 spiral.
Yeah.
Like for me, I didn't even know I wasn't a liberal till I went to CJEP. I thought I believed in all that crap till I seen till I seen how far they're willing to push it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of sit there and you think to yourself, like, is this really what the world's coming to? Am I that bad of a fucking person? I don't think so. I thought I was a pretty good dude before I came here,
Yeah.
But
well, I had a similar experience with Seja, but I was, for me, it wasn't, is this what the world's coming to? It was, what the fuck? Because I didn't know that was how the world was. I mean, if you're born in a poor kind of area, people are usually more humble, in my opinion. And then you go to like Yuppieville and you start going to like higher education and you're like, what the fuck is this?
But what I mean
people
this is what the world's coming to is everyone in my class thought the same way. And it was just like, I can't identify with the same beliefs as you guys.
Yeah.
It just, we're so far off in a different direction. Like we had I went to an arts program, like English literature. So I was kind of just surrounded by women and gay guys. So I was like the only straight dude there.
Yeah, but you're winning though. Cause who competes with you?
No one.
Nobody. So let's get in those programs. I think we need to encourage women to go into fields that men dominate, so we can mix it up.
Sure, but that like all goes back to like wage gaps and stuff. It's women just don't make the same decisions as us.
Right. So you're saying when you're talking about wage gap, you don't just jump over that. We're talking about wage gap. You mean that the 70 cents to a man's dollar has things other than I don't want to pay you because you're a woman that makes them earn less.
If we're going to just think about it in bare bones terms, why would anyone ever hire a man if they just could pay a woman less to do it?
Well, someone might say that you couldn't do that because it's too systematic. It would be too obvious.
Too obvious.
We know that
all this racism and stuff is so obvious to the Democrats. Why would that seems like an obvious economic solution to making profits?
We know that women as a whole, so the sum total of women's income and the sum total of men's income is 70 cents to the man's dollar, but we know 77.
Mm-hmm.
We know why that is. So there's hours worked differences. Men usually work more hours than women. Women have maternity leave. Women choose lower paying jobs on average.
Yeah. So
there's things like this, but we'll see this number come out of the mouth of Hillary Clinton, Obama, in schools. It's taught in schools where it's an implied sexism. No, it's a cultural difference between the sexes because we're different. Period.
That's they what also just they're less likely to ask for raises and promotions and stuff. They're more kept to themselves.
You got to be careful with that because then that's they would say, oh, that's because they're scared. It's too male dominated.
Well,
I think that's bullshit.
I think that's testosterone. Testosterone makes you
maybe
grab things that you think you deserve, and women are less likely to do it. It's just
I think there's women in the professional workforce, tons of them that are like gritty,
of course,
but hardcore chicks. But I think the big deal is they're choosing lower paying jobs. Guys are more likely. I think it's more cultural. Like
priorities are different.
Yeah. Priorities are different. Guys are more culturally inclined to slug through the mud to make money. Like they're more willing to do overtime. Women are just not. And this is observable. There's been economists that have removed these factors, and the wage gap closes to like 97%.
Of course, yeah,
97 cents, whatever.
Well, it's just think of the way you were taught as a kid. Like most women are taught that like your husband is going to take care of you, kind of thing. Like the man is there to help you out, and we're there to help women out. So you hold the door for them, you carry boxes for them, you whatever for them, just because this is the way you were raised. It's the right thing to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think maybe just the sacrificial idea of it maybe makes men care.
It's a natural thing, too.
More willing to go hardcore into work, if that's what you're saying. I don't know what that is, but we know for a fact.
We're more expendable. That's why we go to war.
Sure.
Well,
sure.
You need one man to repopulate. You need the women. The women are... Right. They're there to keep us going.
But we do know for a fact that with those reasons, with hours worked, with specific job fields taken out, there is no wage gap. Essentially, it's not a thing. It's a myth that people perpetuate, but it's bullshit.
I don't even know where this myth comes from. It's just a stupid math equation.
One of the I don't even want to say just the left does it, but at least lately is you'll take correlative study data. So this group of people are more likely to do this, and they just throw on branding of why that is, the causation of the correlation.
An average. They take 1,000 women, 1,000 men, average their salaries, and they're like, well, there's the wage gap. It's
voter ID laws. Like black people are less likely to have the required ID to vote. That's bullshit. True. No, it's true. That according to numbers, they're less likely to have it. But that's not racism. They're just, maybe they're more impoverished, but you don't try to fix a system like needing ID to vote, which for a good reason, with removing that requirement because they're more likely.
How much does an ID realistically cost? And
it doesn't cost money.
So what does impoverished have to do with IDs?
Well, I mean, when you're in impoverished areas, you have people that have the wrong idea. They care less. They're less inclined to vote. They're less inclined to be political. They're less inclined to give a shit about getting.
That doesn't make it any harder to get an ID.
No, it doesn't.
That's just your priorities,
right? So it's a problem. It's a problem of a problem that they're trying to fix the secondary problem stupidly. Yeah, I think they want illegals to be able to vote, and
because illegals will vote Democrat.
Right. I think if they wanted to vote, they would go get their fucking ID. It takes 15 minutes, and I think it's evident. Like we've seen data on it before, that it's not hard, and they all have access to it. But yeah, so back to my point is they'll take data like that, say like black people or minorities are less likely to have ID, and they'll be like, okay, so it's racist if you require ID to vote. Well, that's just silly. It's stupid. It's the same thing with the wage gap. You're taking numbers, so they earn less money as a goal. The wage gap doesn't mean that one woman will make less for the same job, and I've heard that too. For the same job from the same job, that's bullshit. It has nothing to do with the same job.
If we both go to McDonald's tomorrow, and you were a woman and I was a man, we'd both make minimum wage.
Right?
Do they make less than minimum wage,
sure,
or do
McDonald's
I make more than minimum wage?
Even if you're in the workplace, like you get paid for what you do, what you're worth to your employer, and that's how it should be. Even if it was, in my opinion, even if it was sexist, you change those things culturally. You don't legislate bullshit like that. And I agree the same thing with affirmative action. If there's a minority, like obviously you're a minority, there's less of you, right? Yep. So companies have quotas, affirmative action, to hire like disproportionate amount of minorities that exist in the country. That's just stupid.
Have you ever been on the Emploi Quebec website?
Discrimination against white people. It's racist.
On the Emploi Quebec website, there's so many tabs for, are you Indigenous? Are you this? Are you that? It's like...
Well, they get subsidized out the ass. You know that, right?
Exactly.
The Native people. Mm-hmm. It's insane. I mean, I don't know 100% details, but I was talking to, like, you know, some people I knew professionally, this and that, and they get, not all of them, but depending on your situation, depending on your tribe gets subsidies. You'll get free education depending on what type of education. And apparently it was a thing where it was being abused, obviously, because it's a stupid government program. Mm-hmm. That they had to shut it down because people were just enrolling in adult education, receiving checks, and just not going to it. So you're sitting there with your, you know, whatever check, welfare check, your Aboriginal subsidy check, and you're sitting on money.
I have a problem with socialized programs, especially like welfare. I think that's a big one. I think that just removes all incentive to go actually put effort into anything, because you get caught in that check to check cycle kind of thing. You live off the 600 or whatnot, and it's a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. You don't care about what you haven't worked for as much. So if someone gives you a check for money, right, way worse than you spend your own.
Exactly. If someone hands you money, you are not going to be as anywhere near as responsible with that money, or, you know, responsible towards growth and getting yourself, you know, prospering, as if you earned that money. Anyone knows that, right? If someone gives you money, you care less than if that's your paycheck. If someone fucks with your paycheck, you're pissed because you made that money.
I found that out the hard way when I started making money. Stop buying as much stuff, you know?
Right. But that's how it should be. And it's like, of course, it's hard to pull out all social programs. Some social programs are good, but like blanket, like the state says food stamps, and I grew up thinking, oh, why don't they give them money? You know, fucking
no, that's
hey
perfect.
Man, shit like that.
This is what you need.
This is what you need to be at the bare bottom. You need to eat and go get a fucking job. That's what you need.
Exactly.
You don't need money to fuel. That's why, like, you'd like give every now and then, like, a homeless person money. I think giving a homeless person money is the dumbest thing you could do.
I try to offer them my sandwich, but they'll never take it.
Well, I don't know. Some will, for sure.
Maybe some will, but all the people I've asked that said, I'm hungry, and I'm like, okay, I'll give you half my sandwich. Yeah. No, I just want money.
Right.
Like, why? Aren't you hungry? Like, this is more filling than anything you could get with my 50 cents, you know?
It's just feelings versus fact. So feeling says, this person's sad, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something nice, I'm going to give them money. That's silly, because realistically, you are way more likely to be in a shit situation in life, addiction, and you know, they'll say they're not all addicts, they're not all drunk. Of course not. But you don't know that guy. Do you know this guy fucking on a first name basis? You don't.
No, my dad had an experience like that. He used
They're
to
just
walk by.
most likely to be in shit situations, and you should be giving them things they need to get to get by. Maybe they're not going to get a job or anything like that, but they're going to get by, food, shelter. Give them a blanket. Don't give them money.
In an apartment in Ottawa, he used to walk by this dep every day, and the same homeless guy was there. And he used to give him like whatever change, and then
what's he doing with that? He's buying cigarettes. He's buying booze.
He caught him. He said it was to eat or whatever, and he caught him going in and coming out with like his 40 or whatever, and that just changed his whole opinion forever. I mean, now he just offers food or nothing.
Yeah, food
my mom tried
a blanket or something cool like that.
Yeah, my mom tried to take a homeless man to McDonald's, and he told her fuck off.
Well, I feel like if you're a homeless man, you're going to get food throughout the day if you're in a good spot. You'll get food. But then, I mean, if you don't want food anymore, you're there for money. But you should take that food and you should be hustling. You should try to go to the YMCA, take a shower, try to get a job. I mean,
speaking of panhandling,
these people need help, right? And these people need help, not money.
Not all of them.
That's what a good social program is.
Some of them, it's been known that you make so much money panhandling that there's people who do it as a living.
Oh, right.
And
you're talking about like fake.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's big in the States.
And you'll catch them walking into their apartment after hours or whatever.
Fake injuries, fake wheelchair bound people. Yeah. I mean, that's fucked up. I'd punch that person right square in the fucking head.
Yeah, but legally you can't. But
well, yeah, legally, of course.
I definitely would want to.
Theoretically, I do that. Hypothetically, I do that. All right.
So jump into our next topic.
Yeah. We got carried away on the Trump. So yeah, Trump's travel ban is good. It's temporary until they can figure out how to screen people properly, because that needs to be done. Look at Europe. Look at the data. Not CNN. Not Huffington Post. Not the New Cuck Times. Real websites. Real data. Look at what's happening to Europe. Look at what's happening to Greece. Look what's happening to France. Look what's happening to Germany. The people are pissed. Not what they lie to you. The people are pissed because it's going to shit.
But regardless of terrorists and whatnot, which is why this travel ban is in place to begin with,
I think that's. I don't even think so.
You don't think so?
Well, I mean, I think that's what they're saying, but I think, like he said, a Muslim ban. Like he said that and he slipped up. He's like, no, it's just a travel ban because this and that. But he doesn't want. He's like, listen, I want the good people. That's what he thinks. I want the good people in this country. I don't want the.
I read somewhere that that they had an immigration plan in the 60s, and it was supposed to go up by a certain amount, and by like whatever 2100, you'd have like 300 million Americans. Well, right now there's almost 400 million Americans, and it's because people are crossing illegally, and we're just taking too many people. And by 2100, we won't be able to. America won't be able to support that many people at the rate they're coming in right now. There was a system
don't even get me
put in
started on the
place.
fucking border. It's stupid. Sorry, go ahead.
Build that wall.
Build the wall.
That's all I gotta say.
See, this is the thing. It's hard for any normal person to say whether or not a wall is efficient versus just adding border, like beefing up the border. So paying more people, employing more people to do things.
You can pay people. You can't.
Right, but the intention
less
is
openings.
right. The intention is correct.
If you make less openings, it's gonna just be harder. If you have
but it costs a lot of money, so you have to think of it's efficient. I think it'll probably be efficient. Walls work in Israel. They work real good.
Oh yeah. You think
but
the problem is the U.S. paid for the walls in Israel. We should have paid.
It doesn't matter who paid for it. It worked.
We should have paid for our own walls.
Who's we?
Well, the U.S.
Oh right, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's nice that everyone wants the U.S. to help, and they should help because they are the superpower of the world, and they're the role models. I keep wishing I was American, I keep saying we, but
so I caught you.
But yeah, I mean, throwing just money at other countries to try to fix their problems when there's problems within your own is just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, like Paris, the Paris Climate Accord.
Oh yeah, that's
I seen on Facebook, even like moderate liberals, even like libertarian dudes, some libertarian dudes, they're like, this is disgusting. He doesn't care about, like, did you read the fucking act?
No, of course I didn't. So read the headline.
Let me break this down. So what the act was a bunch of commitments from every country of how they're going to band together, kumbaya fucking ya, to stop global warming, right? Even though the evidence is shaky on whether or not that's going to do anything, if it's too late or not, right? But the idea was that I think it's like 66% of the world's emissions come from India and China, right? Mm-hmm. And the third most offender is the United States. So they all had plans to reduce, right? But no. So India was allowed.
Well, they did, but it was.
Yeah, it was the states. So
well, they all had plans to reduce, but when will they reduce? That's the real question.
So China was allowed to ramp up their coal production until 2035, I think. Then
I thought it was just 2030.
Something like that, 2030, 2035. And then they will start reducing it. So until 2030, these are the top two offenders. And then India, I believe, had to just invest in clean energy, but just continue doing what they're doing. The states had to reduce by something like 22%. And this was Obama's, what he wrote down, right? So this was Obama's idea. The states had to reduce by 22%, something like that. Don't take my numbers like as true. And I think they had to foot the bill on clean energy investment and like upwards to 14 other countries, like poor countries. So, I mean, that's just insane. If you want to get something done, then the number 1 and 2 offenders should be getting something done. It's silly that you would pretend we don't live in an imperialist world and that the states would foot the bill of a bunch of countries and being the only ones taking a hit where the number 1 and 2 offenders did shit.
That goes back to my original point of it's nice to go help everyone, but you got to help yourself sometimes. If not, you're not going to remain the superpower of the world.
Weakening yourself on the world stage is stupid. I mean, unless there's a really good reason. And Trump even said, he's like, I'm willing to renegotiate a fair deal where you cut back and I cut back too. Or even just like a flat tax. So you cut back equal to what you're doing and I'll cut back equal to what we're doing. But they don't want that. And they refused. They said, all right, Trump's out of this and that.
It's actually not in their best interest, right. Just like the Paris Agreement wasn't.
So for them, they could walk with Merkel and hold hands like that. And it means something like, they're like, even North Korea, man. Yeah, what does North Korea have to do? Go tell me. What does North Korea have to do in the fucking accord?
Who do you want to be powerful in this world? I'm hoping it's the U.S. They have the right value system and they're doing it right. Let's be honest.
It's just you
don't want to weaken those people. Right. Then you're just going to be subject to things you're not going to like.
It's not as simple as global warming, man. It's more important.
As much as people seem to like communism after you showed me that page yesterday.
No, that's kids.
Go live in a communist society and tell me how much you like it with no right to strike. And this is all these people do. They sit on the street and protest.
Yeah. Well, let's not get into that. But yeah. So I agree with Trump's travel ban, and the accord is good to pull out. That was I think I've seen the most backlash of pulling out of the accords of anything Trump's done. And that's the thing I agreed with the most.
Because people have like a soft spot for the environment, but don't understand the facts and the logistics behind doing things.
The logistics, that's the main thing, right? So like, what your plans are, they're not fair. You're the one fucking the world up, but you get to ramp your production up. No, stupid. And that takes a strong leader to say that, and a bunch of whiny bitches in the country to complain about it. And fuck yeah.
That's what I love about Trump. He's not scared. He is not afraid of the media.
See what he posts on Twitter? He runs this fucking. He runs shit. All right, next story. Let's pull it up while we finish up. Yeah, okay. This was huge. So we seen the Trump meme shitting on CNN. This is why. So if you don't know CNN's fake news by now, you should now. This guy James O'Keefe. This guy played a big role
in the election,
in getting Trump elected. Mm-hmm. Because he did undercover videos like this exposing DNC heads talking about working.
Explain what the DNC is.
So the DNC is the Democratic National Committee behind Hillary Clinton getting her elected. We seen in WikiLeaks during the election that they literally worked to get Bernie Sanders down because they knew everyone liked Bernie Sanders and Hillary is the establishment politician.
Yep.
So everyone's mad about that, and they exposed producers. Or not producers, this is the producer, but they exposed officials of the DNC colluding with groups that would incite violence at Trump rallies, shit like that, right? So
for stories.
Right, for stories. So fake stories making Trump supporters look like this.
Basically the definition of fake news.
Right. This is fake news construction working directly with DNC officials. So anyway, he exposed that during the election. That was huge. Everyone's seen that. They're like, on top of WikiLeaks, that's a slam dunk. So this week, there were 2 videos. This one here we'll play in a sec was the undercover journalist talking to a CNN producer where he says, quote, the whole Russia deal where they're trying to impeach Trump because of Russia or whatever. We don't know. He says there's no evidence. He says it's a bunch of bullshit. I don't know if he says a bunch of bullshit. He says bullshit in quotes.
I mean,
he says it's bullshit, and when he says just a sec, he says when he says why, like, so why is CNN focusing on Russia if it's bullshit mostly? He says, well, ratings. So pull that up. We'll see that. We'll listen to that. That's a long video, actually. Yeah. Skip around anyway. Really not. CNN producer. Of course they do.
Can we pause right here? Yeah. Speaking of like, enough of this. Let's move on to the Russia thing. Remember when the Manchester attacks happened?
Yeah.
They talked about the Russia-Trump collusion for an hour before they even announced it, and then
it's not their narrative.
And then like they covered it for what, all of 5 minutes and jumped right back to Russia.
Boys,
it's just unbelievable.
A Saudi prince owns major shares in CNN, who gave millions of dollars to Hillary Clinton. Like it's not. You don't need to be a mad scientist to figure this shit out. Like it's establishment corruption. This is
such a
media.
good job of isolating your thoughts that it's just.
Yeah. Well, if you don't pay enough attention to care or to be skeptical, then this is what you get. You get CNN, you get shit like this. But yeah, I don't think we have the second video here, but we'll talk about it anyway. The second
Nothing Burger.
The Nothing Burger, yeah. So that was the second video where he talks to CNN's Van Jones, a commentator and host. I think he hosts the show, but he's a commentator anyway. And he straight up said the whole Russia thing's a nothing burger, and he's like, yeah, nothing burger. And he says it's for ratings. Same thing.
Yeah,
everyone's talking about it. But any liberal you'll talk to is, he's going to jail. He's getting impeached. I don't know if he did anything with Russia. I don't know, but I know that they're pushing, like the producer said, a bunch of bullshit.
Video of Obama getting caught, like he didn't know the mic was on, and he's talking to one of the unders of Vladimir Putin, and he's like. It's like I'm not as flexible right now, but once we get like the election, once I win the election, then we can like talk some more. And he's like, "Don't worry, we're with you" and stuff.
Yeah,
it just proves you want your president to be talking to Russia. Let's just be honest. They're the go for it.
No, I don't know what was that. Oh, it's
yeah. Bring up the Nothing Burger.
Yeah,
but I just like the way he.
But Van Jones during the election was hardcore shitting on like the right.
Well, that's for money. Yeah, these guys get paid a lot of money to say what they say.
Yeah, if you get paid a lot of money to be dishonest, you're going to be dishonest. You can make your money.
Of course.
You're a journalist. That's what you do. You lie.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, not supposed to be.
And it's funny, when people bitch that CNN might lose press credentials at the press briefings, they're like, InfoWars, Alex Jones?
Yeah.
InfoWars has fucking press credentials. Like, how is that possible? Well, maybe they're crazy, but they're not actively spewing bullshit about the president, and that's what matters, right? It's their White House. Mm-hmm. If you're lying about them, you're gonna lose it. Like, it's not about journalistic integrity, man. It's about you're lying about me, and this is my party. They're
Remember
not.
In the 50s when journalists ran around the streets smoking cigarettes and tattered fucking fedoras and shit. That's a real journalist. They were just out for the scoop, They weren't getting paid shit. They were getting paid based on the story they brought back.
Right. So it's like
almost
like
fed a story.
Right. So when it's not establishment,
paid to bullshit,
When it's not establishment lobbies, it's privatized. It's not corrupt. This is Van Jones.
Oh no, this is not it.
Just play it here. Play it here. Oh, he must feel so betrayed. Yeah, of course.
I feel like that.
Pause here.
I feel like that line is even better than just calling it bullshit.
Well, because it's hilarious. It's a nothing burger.
It's
not just bullshit. It's a big
how fucked up it is. Like how there's absolutely no evidence at all.
And I think he went on you have to address it. Even if it's like you want to hide, no one's going to air this video because they don't. You have to address it, right? So he addressed it, and he said, I believe he said that.
He actually addressed this?
Yeah, on CNN. He said they took it out of context. If you listen more, I was talking about whatever. But I mean, you
that's
can't
how
take it
dumb they think their viewer is. That they can just
that's it.
Come out with something like this and then instantly just like sway your opinion again. Like, it was out of context. This and this and this. It's honestly unbelievable. They take us for complete idiots.
Whoa. Yeah. Yep. They take the average viewer for complete idiots.
But the problem is, if you grew up on CNN and you think CNN is right all the time, then you just it shapes you.
I listen to CNN because it's 24 hours. I mean, it's not always 24 hours, but it's like I think it's weekdays or weekends aren't 24 hours. They have Anthony Bourdain cooking some badass Indian food. But
I can fuck with some Anthony Bourdain.
No, he's dope. He's dope. But mostly it's 24 hours. But that's the thing. Like Fox has segments, scheduled segments, and that's it. I don't have Fox, but I was thinking of getting it. But I was looking into it, and I mean, I don't like their scheduling. Like I like to be able to just turn it on when I'm bored and listen to something. If I can't do that, whatever. So I listen to CNN, but I know I know their bias. Everyone should know their bias.
Well, you shouldn't take their opinions on stories too literally.
Right.
Just
or
take
their
the story
headline, because the headline, partial victory for Trump. No, it's essentially a victory for Trump on his travel ban. Like aside from sure. The only thing that wasn't also in his second variation of the travel ban was that people that had a visa in the past, not only current holders, but had a visa in the past, are allowed to come, and that's fine. That's still a win.
I mean, that's just fair.
Yeah,
like
I agree
completely.
Because then it ties them to see. We're talking about like what rights you have as a visa holder, and it probably ties them to constitutional rights that they once had.
Because the problem with having a visa is that you need to be there a certain amount of years before you can take your citizenship test. Yeah. So if you're just going to cut it short,
I think it's 3 to 5.
I don't know how many years it is, but if you're just going to cut it short right before someone is like eligible for their test, that's just not right, you know?
Yeah.
Regardless of whether they wanted to go back to their country or whatnot, you know?
Yeah. So I wanted to monologue with something. Yeah, so I'm not. I don't. I think you're more conservative than I am. I'm a libertarian, mostly with nationalist national security views, and people are wondering like, oh, the people that support Trump must be racist, must be sexist. I think gay people should be able to do whatever the fuck they want. I'm for social.
I just don't want it imposed onto me.
Yeah, I'm socially liberal as fuck, and economically conservative as fuck. But I think libertarians and moderates, like that big chunk of people, the voter base that aren't really hardcore right, hardcore left, they came out for Trump this time. And obvious reasons. We talked about a few of them today. But I think that libertarians are flipping, and there's a conservative growth in the West. In Canada, too. We see that. We see protests for Bill C-16. We see protests for...
Well, because people just want a real freedom of speech.
But we're seeing more of it.
You look at the U.S. and they have a real freedom of speech, and then you look at Canada and we don't have that.
No, if you say something like fucked up or you're whatever, they'll bash your door down if they want.
Yeah, of course.
If you're the right guy,
you're subject for prosecution for things that you just shouldn't be able to.
Yeah. So the last video I wanted to show was a conservative speaker by the name of Dinesh D'Souza. This is my favorite speaker because he's like,
I like him a lot.
Yeah, he's against Trump's bullshit, but he's not so hardcore judo Christian against being like, what he says is wrong, right? So he understands the value in it, and this is a talk at, I don't know what university, YAF.
No, that's not the university. That's just Young Americans Foundation is who sponsors these events because no one will actually allow conservative speakers to speak on campus.
I don't know where that is. It's in the States, but... They're about to have a speaker talk about libertarian and moderate, like liberal, left-leaning libertarians. Do they have a place in the States after the Trump victory? Brandeis University, just outside Boston, so it's somewhere in Massachusetts. So we're going to play this and listen to what he says about the state of the country for, like, moderates. The volume's good? Volume's good.
You spoke a lot today about communism, Marxism, and far-left progressives. I see a fracturing in the Democratic Party, and a lot of people are moving more towards classical liberalism and left-leaning libertarians. Do you think there's room in the American political system for people who are for limited government, for freedoms and liberties, but also for things like gay marriage?
Libertarianism, what are you saying?
Yes, I think that this libertarianism across the board has been a wing of the Republican Party. In other words, the Republican Party, and I think this is even more so, by the way, in the age of Trump, because whether you agree with it or not, that's the fact of the matter. Trump is simply not exercised over that issue. I think what we're going to see in this country is a disentanglement between the issues of abortion and gay marriage. I see this in the younger generation already. The younger generation is more conservative than my generation on abortion, but less on gay marriage.
Like me.
Again, that is not a denial of libertarianism. It's simply a recognition that in the case of abortion, we do have an emerging embryonic human life, and so it cannot be treated with moral indifference, whatever you think about that matter. I don't think that libertarianism really belongs to the Democratic Party anymore. It would be different if the Democrats made room for it, but economic liberty is such a nightmare for the Democrats right now, and that's what they care about. That at the end of the day, they're going to drive out the libertarians who don't get on their bandwagon on the economic issues. Ultimately, the Republican Party is kind of a diffuse party. One camp cares about national security, one camp cares about economics, and one camp cares about social issues. And I would say it's really it's a triangle. And it's hard even to say which one is the most important. All three are important. For the Democratic Party, the economic issues are overwhelming issues. And the other two are, I would say, secondary. That's why, for example, Obama and Hillary will change their position on gay marriage. They can't change their position on tax rates, but they can change their position on gay marriage because they care more about the economic issue than they do on the other. That's the fact of the matter in American politics. So I must say, to sum up, that this has actually been a very good experience for me. I wasn't quite sure what to expect coming back to Brian. I thought that was many.
So when he's talking about how the Democratic Party primarily cares about economics, he's talking about redistribution of wealth.
Yeah,
So we've
of
seen that
course.
with the Bernie Sanders resurgence.
Mhm.
Like, the idea that someone could walk down the street with nothing in their pocket next to someone with $3,000 in their pocket, some people think that's not okay. I think those people are not okay in the head.
I think it goes against capitalism as a whole.
It's like
what
saying
this- the
capitalism
country-
is kind of a cop-out because there are enough people that there's a bad taste in their mouth next to capitalism, but it goes against freedom, right? So if you bust your ass, you deserve more than someone who doesn't give a fuck. Period.
Of course.
Done. And the people that don't think like that, I feel like, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but I feel like that's just not American. That's not free. If I want to bust my ass off, I should be rewarded for it. And I think if you think that, but you're not a very political person, you're probably libertarian.
That goes back to my thing about socialism before, about people are only working 32 hours and want to work less than they already, like we work 40-hour weeks and
Right.
it's just normal to us. Other people work overtime. Like I used to work overtime. I used to work like 55-hour weeks.
If that
Just-
person makes it to the next bracket, the next second bracket,
don't get me
do
wrong,
I have a right to
hated
bitch
my
about it?
job, but I mean,
No,
I
I
had
don't.
money to show for it, so
Yeah.
it was
Well,
a good payoff.
it's work. Work is not
work can be fun.
pissing in daisies. Well, it can be fun if you take a good job, but it's always going to be work. It's always going to be work, and that's like when I get back to socialism is a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature, is incentivizing people not to work. Like a lot of people are into universal basic income. People should make money for just being.
But what does that do to your economy? That's the problem. Like socialism just keeps what you already have. It doesn't really
produce.
Exactly.
But it doesn't produce, and it doesn't incentivize production either. People are like, oh, if I give you 15 grand a year, or not 50 grand a year, 15 grand a year, if I just give that flat, you could work for whatever more you want. They expect people, like, they think, oh yeah, now that I'm happy and comfortable, I'm going to go be a badass skillsman. No, you're not. Because
No.
that's not how people work. You're
course
given
not.
things for free. You're going to loaf.
It's like welfare.
Like
people who
everybody's
get
lazy
on
when they're
welfare-
not busting their ass. You're either lazy or you're doing shit.
It's like welfare. Once people get on welfare, they have a hard time getting out of welfare.
Exactly.
Because they get way too comfortable in their situation.
You're like Chateauguay. You ever been there, Chateauguay? Chateauguay's a fucked up place. There's a lot of neighborhoods in Chateauguay that are welfare fucking towns.
Just havens,
Yeah.
basically. Like, I don't
But
know.
anyway, whatever. I digress on that.
So what's
you-
next?
How long we been there? Come. I say we call it. It's late, eh?
Yeah.
All right, that was a good first episode. I'm digging it.
Yeah, that was fun.
So to anyone listening who might listen to this coming down because we're not live yet. This is gonna be going up. We are gonna be live regularly, weekly, probably on the weekend, and it's looking to like the video. The video will go up either probably on Monday or Sunday, late Sunday. But the audio will always be live. We're gonna have those on our social media sites. We got Twitter. You're gonna get an Instagram. I don't know how to work that.
Yeah, we're gonna get
And we'll have
on YouTube, live on
YouTube.
Facebook.
Live on that.
We'll have guest segments as well. And
Yeah.
we'll also try to stay more on script. We'll try to go more off script with guests.
Well, I want to get more guests on because I like to hear what people have to say. Like if you know me or James or Cam over here, and you don't agree with us on things, right? I'd love to hear you. Even just on Skype, we could pull you up on Skype to have a Skype call here, or in person if you want to come down and talk about us because we that's what we want, right? We want to
Of course,
educate.
I want to hear the other side.
Exactly.
We're not here to attack people. We're not here to be condescending at
Yeah.
all. We just have strong opinions about
We
what
might
we
be
believe in.
condescending sometimes by act because that's just how it goes. But
Yeah, but
we
when
try
we're
not
just
to.
talking to me and you, it's fine. But
Yeah.
we're not here to personally attack people if they want to join the show.
Yeah.
We're just here to have a nice conversation or dialogue, as people like to call it.
Or even if you kind of like into your own cool thing, like I know there's some like young entrepreneur type dudes that from Montreal. If you got your own little thing or you know a topic that we bums don't know about, I'd like to have you on just to hear about it.
It doesn't have to be about politics.
Yeah,
It could be about whatever you want to talk about.
for sure. So that's a good first wrap. I like it.
Yeah.
Close her up, Cam. Oh shit,
Hey.
disco baby.
And on a good note. On a happy note.
Look at that funky. Yeah.